everyone, I'm Barkha Dutt. You're watching the Mojo Story, our independent digital platform that does a deep dive into one big issue every day. And today, of course, the big story is the big Bengal election. And Nandigram, Mamata Banerjee's constituency, is among those voting. It's been a high-octane, controversial, polarized electoral battle. And if you take a look at these pictures, it's been, of course, with its share of drama. That's Mamata Banerjee, the West Bengal Chief Minister, at a polling booth, dialing the West Bengal governor, saying ominously, anything can happen. Mamata Banerjee says that her party has made several complaints to the Election Commission, but those complaints have been ignored. In the meantime, the BJP is saying that one of its members has been found mysteriously dead in Nandigram, and Mamata Banerjee's rival, Suvendu Adhikari, once her protege, is complaining that his car, his cavalcade, has been stoned in Nandigram. To talk about this election, an election that has the country watching and the larger political ramification of what's going down in Bengal today, we're joined on the program by Derek O'Brien, senior leader of the Trinamool Congress. Welcome, Derek, especially on a day like this, to take time out. Appreciate it. Those pictures, and we'll play them again in a moment from now, of the Bengal Chief Minister dialing the governor. What would lead her to do this? Some would say it's Mamata Banerjee being dramatic as usual. What actually happened that compelled her to dial the governor, whom she doesn't have the best relationship with?
Firstly, let me just bring you up to speed, Barkha, that we are winning Nandigram in spite of all these efforts. And Mamata Banerjee just finished a press conference literally 2 minutes ago. And the whole focus here is how the Home Minister is pulling the strings from wherever he's sitting in Delhi. And she dialed the governor, yes. We have our booth agents in all but one of the constituencies. And in a few constituencies, there was an attempt at booth jamming and booth capturing, which happened. And that's why she landed up there. And on those specific booths, she spoke to the governor and she spoke to the local police CRPF officials. The BSF or the CRPF, they're doing their job, Barkha. They're doing their job. But they're getting instructions from the Home Minister. The Home Minister is so desperate to win this state. I mean, it's shameful. And the level of...
How do you prove the allegation that you've just made? It's on our screen. The Home Minister is pulling strings from Delhi. Where's the proof? Where's the proof that it's the Home Minister, and what are you accusing him of doing?
The Home Minister is, I can give you at least 3 or 4 good examples. Look at the timing of the raids on your political opponents using your trusted allies like the CBI, the ED, the IT. That's one example. Number 2, I'm only giving you examples, there's no rhetoric. A political party, one political party, the BJP, wants a long-standing rule changed with the EC, the long-standing rule being that booth agents, Barkha, if you're living in, say, Jorbagh, you can only be a booth agent in Jorbagh, in that neighborhood. Or perhaps in the neighboring neighborhood, I'm not very familiar with Delhi, but let's say in the neighboring neighborhood of, say, Jangpura. But in the new rule, the BJP went with the delegation, and from the 18th of March, a new rule was put in place. The booth agent can be from anywhere. The BJP delegation went, and at the Home Minister's command, I'm sorry to say, the Election Commission on March the 18th issued this circular. Did they consult the largest opposition party in India, the Congress? No. Did they consult the second largest opposition party in India, the Trinamool Congress? No. Did they consult the DMK, a large opposition party fighting the Tamil Nadu elections? No. They just went ahead and did this. Now that's the first part of the story. And to prove that my accusation is not just rhetoric, there's a tape been leaked, conversation between Mukul Roy, a BJP leader, and another senior BJP leader on tape saying that the BJP would be going to the Election Commission because this change was needed because there are thousands of booths in Bengal otherwise where BJP couldn't place booth agents. I mean, this is a really serious charge. Now that tape leaked, and I went on television and said that I don't know who leaked the tape, but I suspect it must be one of those 2 people in the conversation who leaked the tape. So that's the third example I've given you. The fourth example, when the home minister of the country, one day after the election, says, I've received all the inputs I have received, and we are winning X number of seats or Y number of seats, 26 out of 30. You look at the way the schedule has been made in Bengal. This is my fifth point. You tell me, from independence, is there any city, any metropolitan city which has had a two-phase of voting? Calcutta North votes on one day, Calcutta South votes on one day.
But you're arguing it both ways. You're arguing it both ways. You're alleging that the Home Minister isn't allowing a sort of completely transparent process. And on the other hand, you're still saying you're going to win Nandigram. How can both be true?
Good question. You can be up to all your dirty tricks. But if you see the way the people of Nandigram still waited, especially ladies, for long queues since the morning. The people of Nandigram will vote for Mamata Banerjee. And since you mentioned Nandigram, the Election Commission or journalists or anybody should see the kind of filth and the level of discourse. I mean, that rewrites. I think even by UP standards or any other standards before elections, it gets very dirty. This is rank. I mean, polarization. We'll have to. Can you help me find another word for it? Because polarization is too soft a word. You know, whenever you can't take us on parameters of health, employment, jobs, education, then you bring in Pakistan.
Yeah, but even today, Suvendu Adhikari has said that his cavalcade came under attack. He's been attacked by violence. He's saying that this is the work of Pakistan. He's obviously using that as a metaphor for the Trinamool. But when you say it's been a filthy, polarized election, Derek, tali ek haath se nahi bachti hai, right? The fact is that an election can't be polarized unless both sides of the trenches play that game.
Yeah, you're true. Tali do haath se bachta hai. To ek tali hai, which is I'm not going to try my Hindi. It's atrocious. But the tali do haath se bachte. On one hand, you have the tali of Mosha, Modi and Shah, and on the other hand, you have this desperate 40-something-year-old who's a traitor. And I don't want to make personal remarks, but let the people decide. Whose only crib against the Trinamool Congress, and I've never said this before to anyone in the media, and I want to use your interview this afternoon to talk about it. He has no ideology. He has no shame. He has no backbone. He only wanted one thing, which we couldn't give him. He asked to be appointed the Deputy Chief Minister candidate. That's it. So we will not make you the Deputy Chief Minister. So he was in talks, by his own admission, for the last 4 or 5 years with the BJP. And if you talk about this candidate from BJP, are you there, Barkha?
Yep, I'm listening to you very carefully and putting on my screen what you've just said, that Suvendu Adhikari, according to you, is a traitor. He has no backbone. He has no ideology. He wants to be Deputy Chief Minister.
You see what I had to say today as a spokesperson. I was talking to you, and imagine I had to say, "Are you listening?" Because these days we are not used to
people who listen. You're not used to anchors who actually listen. I'll let you complete the sentence. I'll let you complete the sentence.
Exactly. So I'm actually not used to. That's what I'm saying. Are you there? And this other very interesting angle to this whole Adhikari angle. That's why it's so almost amusing when you have a home minister on a truck throwing petals, very sweet, campaigning for somebody, and then they'll go back to Delhi and then they'll hit on Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, MK Stalin, and everybody else saying dynastic politics of dynasty. Look at this. This MLA candidate was a minister with 3 portfolios. His father is a MP. His younger brother is an MP. That's 3. I haven't finished. The eldest brother is the chairman of a municipality. And why leave the sister-in-law out? She's a councillor. And between them, they've got 17 other designations. With what shame do Modi and Shah make the Parivar Tantra comments? I mean, they're standing here and the interesting thing is that, and this is a fun, I'm a little relaxed because, I mean, we've had a good match today, but I would like to naughtily think that Trinamool will not be the only one celebrating Mamata Banerjee's win in Nandigram. There will be at least 2 other people who I know will certainly be celebrating the win.
Who are those? Who are those?
One is the state president of the BJP, who didn't get a ticket to fight the MLA election. He's gone on record and said that it's not necessary that an MLA will become chief minister, but in his case, leader of the opposition, because Mamata Banerjee will be chief minister. So that's one gentleman who will be very, very upset. And I've spent long years in Trinamool Congress, so I know there's no love lost between my former colleague who left 3 months ago.
And
No.
There's so many of your party who've left, it's a little bit hard to keep track.
Yeah, so we won't have a traitors gallery. That we'll keep for later. But Shubhendu Adhikari left 3 months ago, and somebody else left 5 years ago. Okay, and I can tell you, the gentleman who left 5 years ago, who is a BJP office bearer here, he and Adhikari, there's no love lost there. So at least 2 BJP people I know of will be very happy.
Let's just take a pause and argue this from the other side. You've spoken of Mo Shah, as you call Modi Shah, the duo. The Prime Minister is in Bengal today, even as Nandigram and other parts of Bengal vote. And you've spoken about the filth and the polarization and the language. And the fact of the matter is that your leader has come under a great deal of scrutiny for her sudden reference to her Gotra. Now, I want to just play out for you what the Prime Minister said and then ask you to respond to it. This is what Modi said on Mamata Banerjee.
साथियों, ममता दीदी को जय श्री राम के आह्वान से दिक्कत है, ये पूरा बंगाल पहले से जानता है। ममता दीदी को दुर्गा जी की प्रतिमा के विसर्जन से दिक्कत रही है, ये भी पूरा बंगाल पहले से जानता है। लेकिन अब दीदी को तिलक से दिक्कत है, अब दीदी को भगवा वस्त्र से दिक्कत है, और तो और अब दीदी के लोग चोटी रखने वालों को राक्षस कहने लगे हैं। ममता दीदी, आपको वोट के लिए किसी को खुश करना है तो ये आपका अधिकार है, आप जरूर करिए। आपको मुझे गाली देनी है, जरूर देते रहिए।
All right, so the Prime Minister there, Derek, making a reference, of course, to the very, very unsavory Twitter exchange that takes place between Union Minister Giriraj Singh and your colleague Mahua Moitra. And I'm just going to pull up those tweets for a second, if we can, where, of course, the dispute starts, in the backdrop of the fact that Giriraj Singh does actually name his Gotra in his Twitter handle, and he makes this reference to Rohingyas. And he says that Mamata Didi has sought help from all anti-BJP parties through a letter. We'll get to that letter in a moment from now. And Trinamool Congress Member of Parliament Mahua Moitra then says that it's being a Rohingya is far better than being from the Choti Wali Rakshas clan. That sentence finds reference in the Prime Minister's comments today. Do you support, one, the language that was used in terms of Choti Wali Rakshas and the Prime Minister then referencing it? And how can you then say, oh, this is such a filthy polarized campaign when you're doing completely tit for tat here, right?
Firstly, like all the Prime Minister's speeches, this is the first one I'm hearing today. I didn't hear his speech today. Thank you for playing that. Let me do a fact check. The first piece of, I've got to call bullshit where it is bullshit, and I'm sorry, it is bullshit, so I've got to call it so.
What is? You're talking about the Prime Minister. You're talking about the Prime Minister. You're expected to be parliamentary while talking about the Prime Minister.
I have full respect for the Prime Minister. I have no respect for the con man. That's the difference. Okay. He has no business standing up here in election campaign in Bengal, lying through his teeth. And
which part is the lie? Which part is the lie? The Rakshas Wala tweet I showed you.
He's a con man. So I'm going to give you now, if you give me a chance, 5 lies. Starting off with today. How dare he say that there's no Durga Puja in Bengal? How dare you come and say this, you uneducated, illiterate who knows nothing about Bengal? You can come and say that we don't hold Durga Puja. It's the biggest festival. Religion is private.
What does the education of the Prime Minister have to do with anything? What is his literacy level? Like why are you being elitist in course?
No, I am not being elitist about his literacy level, about his academics. Even I failed my BA. I'm not bothered about that. Okay, I didn't get my honors in English. What's the problem? I have no problem with that. You are being illiterate about what you know about Bengal. You cannot come here in Bengal and make a statement saying Durga Puja yahan nahi hota, or somebody stop. It's a lunatic. It's an irresponsible statement. Next time I'll invite this Gujarati Gymkhana member who happens to be the Prime Minister of India. Come here. We'll invite you for 4 days and we'll take you around Bengal. What do you mean Durga Puja hoina and then doesn't happen in Bengal? Limit. There's the world's largest Durga Puja carnival. It's the biggest celebration. Doesn't matter whether your name is D'Souza or Ahmed or Bhattacharya or Sharma. You can come and participate in Durga Puja. What nonsense you comes and lies here on election day. Having said that, let me give you 4 more lies. Is this the same con man who said, give me 50 days and I'll fix everything after demonetization? Con man? Mamta Di within 2 hours said, withdraw the draconian decision. Is this the same con man who said he will double farmer income by 2022? He can't do it before 2028. My chief minister has done it already, triple farmer income. Is this the same con man who said he'll bring CAA and give people double citizenship? And now after 1.5 years, that's gone under the carpet because he cannot bring the CAA. He cannot bring the NRC because he detained 17 lakh Bengali Hindus in Assam. Is this the same con man who made a constitutional commitment with Mr. Jaitley as the minister to say that states would get their share of GST? Is he the same con man who said he'll put 15 lakh into people's bank accounts? He's a con man. Modi is a con man. Prime Minister's chair, I respect. That's the difference.
Derek, if I may interrupt you, I think the reference clearly here is to Mamta Banerjee's decision. To Mamta Banerjee's decision. Wait. Let me come in on the Durga Puja point. Let me just make an interjection. I've heard you patiently. Now hear my question.
Okay,
the reference clearly is to Mamta Banerjee's decision to restrict the Visarjan on Muharram. He did not spell that out, but that has happened. That has happened. What part of it is utter trash? Let me read out to you. The Mamta Banerjee government will not allow Visarjan on the day of Muharram. Banerjee announced this decision during a meeting with Durga Puja organizers. This come after the Calcutta High Court struck down a similar decision last year. I'm reading out a news copy to you. It's an old copy, but it has happened in your tenure. Go ahead.
Please don't read out news copies to me, Barkha. I'm really sorry to tell you. News copies these days, or even 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Bengal and Mamta Banerjee have will ever stop Durga Puja or Saraswati Puja. This is a convenient narrative to be distracting by the BJP. I'll tell you what, just imagine what we have been doing here for the last 10-12 minutes. And I'll tell you why we are doing it, not your fault. Should we discuss the job situation in Bengal compared to the rest of the country? Should we discuss how our Kanyashri program is better than Beti Bachao? Should we discuss how for IT we are better than most parts? Should we discuss how MSME Bengal is #1, infrastructure roads Bengal is #1, what we are doing on the Bengal Silicon Valley project, how Bengal has got agriculture awards for 5 years? No, we're not discussing all this because this is what the BJP want. They want a completely polarized election. They want to discuss this kind of and the kind of rhetoric and the sad part is we don't blame the little ministers and the minions. No, the instructions are very clear.
But when you use words like conman and illiterate and you say this is a lie, then you have to be able to address the controversy that took place during Mamta Banerjee's tenure as Chief Minister, where the Calcutta High Court takes poor note of Mamta Banerjee's decision to restrict the Durga Puja Visarjan on Muharram. Tell me that I'm wrong. I've read this in multiple articles. This has been documented.
The Durga Puja Visarjan was never ever restricted. In Bengal, peace and harmony. There is a specific time for Muharram. There was a specific time for Visarjan. So don't. It was twisted around. And I want to defend those words, and I want to give you good reasons why I use those words. Who is a con man? A con man, I don't have the dictionary definition, but who multiple times tells you something and doesn't deliver. I've given you 5 reasons why, and this is Narendra Modi, not the Prime Minister of India. Full respect for Prime Minister, Home Minister. When a conman makes these promises, give me 50 days and then do whatever you want to me, he said after demonetization. So he's a con man. He cons, like in C-O-N. And when I said illiterate, no, let me clarify. When I say illiterate, who do I mean is illiterate? Not about your education qualification. When you come to Bengal and you tell me, and the people of Bengal, that Rabindranath Tagore was born in Shantiniketan, yes, you are not literate about things Bengal. If you go to Birsa Munda statue and you garland the wrong statue, I'm afraid you don't know about Bengal. That's what I meant.
But when the BJP does an insider-outsider conversation, when the BJP goes nativist, you say they're xenophobic. When you do it, you're a proud Bengali.
No,
different strokes for different folks.
I'm so glad. You're one of the few people who even asked me this question. So I must answer it. Agarwal, Sharma, D'Souza, Bhattacharya, O'Brien, Gupta, all fine being in Bengal. You come here, you work here. Look at the hospitals. Bangur Hospital was set up by a Marwari gentleman. Look at the so many Marwari families we have living in Calcutta, or Chinese families, or Christian families. So many. That's not the problem. When they're not outsiders, doesn't matter if their Bengali is accented, but they understand Bengal. Who do we call an outsider? Let me give you an example. An outsider is somebody who comes here during election season to suck votes and then disappear. Let me give you an example. Let me give you one example. Let's say if Jaya Bachchan comes to Bengal and wishes to campaign. I'm just as an example. Would Jaya Bachchan be an outsider? I would think not. Jaya Bhaduri is an icon of this state. She knows, she understands the culture, the ethos. She even if you haven't lived here, it doesn't matter. So there's a distinction between the Amit Shah. I mean, tell me something. When you send a note to the election commission here in Calcutta, I don't mind, it can be signed by anybody. You get 5 names to sign it. A, B, C, D, E. You didn't get one Bengali to sign that thing. So that's what the outsider. And if you are in Bengal, you make sure you know a little more than the teleprompter. No, you need to know basic language. Otherwise, out.
Okay. You've used a lot of strong words, right? Let's come back to the Gotra reference to Mahua Moitra using language like Choti Wale Rakshas.
Mahua Moitra is a fine parliamentarian. She's an absolute top-class professional. She doesn't need Derek O'Brien or anybody to defend her. Next time you meet Mahua Moitra, call her on your program. She'll defend all her tweets and what she said. Or
do you agree with the language? I wouldn't have brought it up had the Prime Minister not brought it up, but the Prime Minister has brought it up. The Prime Minister has brought it up. The Prime Minister has also brought up Jai Shri Ram as a slogan that irks Mamata Banerjee. We have definitely seen on camera in the past the Bengal Chief Minister losing her temper more than once when chants of Jai Shri Ram have gone up, including at a Netaji commemoration when the Prime Minister was sitting next to her. She went on stage, she made a little speech as chants of Jai Shri Ram went up. She argued that
she didn't lose a temper. Barkha, you normally don't make 2 back-to-back factual observations in your questions. You normally don't. You just have. One, she never lost her temper. She went after that and had chai and biscuits with the guests. She didn't. She kept her cool. It's not about the slogan. Where was it used? There's nothing wrong in a, let's say, you want to use a slogan. Where did you use it? You used it in an intimidatory way at a government function. And I think you don't need Derek O'Brien's view or anybody's view. You listen to the anchor. You see, please find the video footage of that anchor there. He's not even from Calcutta, but he was speaking in Hindi. That footage is revealing, because what does he say? He says, in Hindi, he says, come on, guys at the back, behave yourselves, sit down. This is, nobody has any problem with any slogan. It's if you use it in an intimidatory way at the wrong place, that's the problem with the slogan. There's nothing wrong with the song.
What is the slogan?
Chaya, Chaya, Chaya. There's nothing wrong with Chaya, Chaya, with Malaika Arora and Shah Rukh Khan. There's nothing wrong. But I have a problem with that. If you suddenly play that song, which is a lovely song, it's a beautiful song, I have a problem if you play it when I go to my friend's father's funeral. It's
What's the analogy? Mamata Banerjee has always sort of lost her temper with this slogan.
No.
What's the problem? Okay, what is the slogan? What is the slogan to you? What is the slogan?
You can say
when you hear Jai Shri Ram,
you can say Jai Shri Ram, you can say Jai Shri Ram. We prefer, you can say whatever slogan you want. You can carry on saying whatever slogan you want. I'll tell you something. You try it in Bengal, you're going to come here. You try 2 slogans. I don't know whatever slogan the BJP want to use. You try the Trinamool slogan. Khala hobe. Try it on 5,000 people here, because Khala hobe is not intimidatory. It means match on. Listen, I think it is not about the slogan. It is about how that slogan is used. And yes, I think you made a correct point when you said she lost her temper once when she got off the car. Listen, we all keep forgetting, this is a woman who is human. For God's sake, she is human. She can lose her temper once in 10 years. She can get maybe arthritis one day. She can fracture her ankle, and you don't have to say it's a messed up job till you have to release the x-rays. She's a human being. She is also humble enough to admit that after 10 years of governance, I haven't got it all right, guys. So I have a door-to-door campaign. It's called Duare Sarkar, which will come to you with your health card and other benefits. And it's the last mile before the election. So when we think that there are only 2 gods in India. Let's be very clear. One with a beard, one without a beard. Whatever they say is she's a fallible woman. Absolutely. But look what she's up against. I mean, today, if you've seen some of those pictures, you've got everybody there. You've got the IEC, the ED, the IT, the everybody. Today, what did she tell the Election Commission in all the heat and dust? She only folded her hands. She folded her hands and said, please give us a free and fair election. You know, I gave you that example at the beginning of this.
You haven't told me about why she felt the need to bring up her Gotra. What does that have to do with fallibility, being human, losing her temper? You say you want to be judged on performance, look what she's up against. You complain about polarization, and then you're talking about Gotras.
I'll tell you. Hinduism is not the intellectual property right of the BJP. That's the answer. Other people, as we always say, religion is a private affair. I've known Mamata Di since 2003. I know what she says often enough when she leaves in the morning. I know the part which she recites in the morning, the Chondi part. I know what she says when we leave her home. Dugga Dugga. I know how much time she spends on the treadmill, how much time she spends out of the pujo area. So we know that religion is supposed to be a person's private space. The festivities is for all of us. I can have Eid, I can have Christmas, I can have pujo, I can have Parsi New Year. That is the Indian.
And this is not a Prashant Kishore-esque counter to the allegation that Mamta courts the Muslim vote, which is about 30% in Bengal, which is what your arithmetic rests on. It smacks of kind of Arvind Kejriwal suddenly reciting the Hanuman Chalisa in the middle of the Delhi election, which was also a Prashant Kishore move. Many believed that you should wear your Hinduism publicly on your sleeve. Why are we seeing Mamata Banerjee talk about Gotras 2 days before, 1 day before her own election? Yes, sure, Hinduism is not the property of the BJP, but how are you different from the BJP if you need to wear these symbols on your sleeve?
Barka, I'll answer your question, and I also wish you luck. It's been 6 years. Have you or any other person from your fraternity had the opportunity of asking even one question to the man masquerading as Tagore? Have you asked one question to him? You haven't asked a question. So at least there are people like Mamata Banerjee who can still answer questions.
I mean, I haven't had a Mamata Banerjee interview either. So I'm pitching for one in the middle of this interview. So please make it happen. Make it happen. Yeah. But answer the question.
So yeah. So when you have, you asked me this question, when you have the Prime Minister of a country, making the most bizarre claims and doing the most visual optics about religion. All that is okay. As I said, if you're carrying on and carrying on and carrying on, look at the language which was used. I don't even want to say it on your show. So what did she say? She's trying to explain her interpretation of Hinduism, because only one party cannot interpret Hinduism. So she's doing that. If that, she doesn't need a certificate. She doesn't need a certificate from Modi or Shah or anyone, because in Bengal we look at it a little differently. But the polarization, go ahead.
Yeah. So you're saying that in this polarized environment, she has to talk religion. She doesn't have an option. Yes.
I think practical. Let's be practical. She's not going to let you have a free hit. She's not going to let you have a free hit. So it's her option during an election. She wishes to use that option. But having said that, we have since long challenged the BJP. Come and debate with us on IT. Come and debate with us on jobs, on roads, on infrastructure, on MSME, on how Bengal is doing well, on so many other things. But BJP will not debate that. They'll get into this kind of horrible, terrible narrative. By the way, I think there's only one little factual insight which I want to give you, is that 40% reduction in employment in Bengal. That's the real big story, especially during the pandemic, where the national numbers have gone really, really high. IT exports in Bengal have grown by 175%. See, Barkha, the issue is what? The issue is there are a couple of things happening here. One is that Shah and Modi are kind of setting up the narrative. Then we have non-independent television channels, like the Godi, I call them the Godi channels, who are genuflecting. They've been asked to genuflect, but they're doing prostrate. Then there are a couple of others who are trying to do independent platforms. If an MP, if a member of parliament sitting in the first row can't get a chance to express, what chance do you have? You know, I asked for a division on the farmer bill. It's only a vote. I only asked for a vote. I didn't say we're winning the vote.
But since we are being factual, you are dealing with anti-incumbency against your MLAs. The Duare Sarkar program was partly created in response to that public anger. You're taking the government to the doorsteps of rural Bengal because you got that feedback on acute public anger. You've seen the surveys. They all say individual MLAs are unpopular. Your chief minister is still your most popular asset, and she is also polarizing figure. She is. You have to acknowledge that.
We're the only state, we're the only piece of territory in the world. We're the only piece of territory in the world who've gone in for an election literally 6 months after we've had a double battle. COVID at one level was our smaller battle. The other bigger battle for us was the Amphan cyclone. So we acknowledge that. And I think a great thing of Mamata Di's governance is the humility, and I think that is the difference. On one side you have her humility, and on the other side you have the hubris of Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah, who one day come into parliament and say we will pass the farm bills. So every minion in the BJP will just stand up there, break every rule in parliament. There are 5 MPs who ask for a vote on the bill. It gets passed, and 6 months, 9 months later, you are another con man who has the cheek to say, now we will pause the bills. What do you mean by pause the bills? What do you mean by pause?
Separate conversation on farmers' bills after this election is over. In the end, I've got to pick up Mamata Banerjee's letter that calls for a pan-India opposition unity. This letter has also been widely commented on because of its timing, right? Why is Mamata Banerjee thinking of national politics on the eve of her own election? Should we not read this as a kind of anxiety? And where is the opposition anyway? You guys can't even get together in Bengal. You have the left and the Congress fighting their own alliance. Probably, we've seen in previous elections the phrase that Vam moved to Ram, that left cadres actually moved towards the BJP. If you guys can't even put up a united front against the BJP in Bengal, what hope is there for a pan-India opposition unity? And why this letter suddenly in the middle of the Bengal election?
Correct. So all letters don't need to have, I've answered all your questions. All letters don't need to have an automatic response Yesterday was the 31st of March. The letter went out a few days ago. We don't need to have a response to every question. Our focus now is very much the election in Bengal.
Why the letter? You could have waited till after the election to write the letter. And how do you see the role of the left in the Congress? How do you see the role of the left in the Congress? Let me ask you a Bengal specific question. How do you see the role of the left in the Congress in this election?
At the ground level, you'll have to say the left, the Congress and the BJP, because there are still some quiet deals being done. I don't want to go there. At the ground level, the left and the Congress.
The left and the right. You're saying the left and the right in the Congress are together?
At the local level. I'm not saying maybe at the level of the president, etc., or in Delhi, but certainly at the left, the Congress and the left and the BJP are doing deals. They only have one objective in Bengal, is how to keep the Trinamool out. But I think we can have a more detailed discussion on this letter sometime in May. One, after we win Bengal. Two, after Mamata Di gets sworn in. And three, after the book wins, because there are two books here. One is the Constitution, the other is the manifesto of the BJP. We believe this is not an election for Trinamool Congress to win. This is not an election for any political party now to win in Bengal. This is a straight contest between, on one side you have the divisive manifesto of the BJP and their idea of India, and on the other side you have the Constitution of India, which we think which we believe in, and I think that's the choice ahead. Everything else can wait till May the 2nd.
And if Mamata Banerjee were to, it's a hypothetical question, were to lose her own seat in Nandigram,
right,
as the BJP argues she might.
Right. If Derek O'Brien were to marry Priyanka Chopra, I mean, come on, let's not go to La La Land.
Hey, there's no bar on dreaming. Yeah, there's no ban on dreaming.
And there's no GST too.
Is that the analogy? That Mamata losing Nandigram is like Derek marrying Priyanka Chopra?
I mean, it's quite. I'll tell you why.
Is that the answer?
I'll tell you why. On a serious note, if you want me, I gave you a light-hearted answer.
Yeah. Give me a serious answer.
When this is my understanding of this. I'll tell you a little story to end. And this is true story. When demonetization happened, 2 hours after that, Mamata Di Fatak wanted a statement out. Withdraw this draconian decision, and there are some of us who advise us, no, you can't do this, let's talk to you. Can't. Nothing, bang, it went. Okay, because that's her instinct. She's got 50 other examples of instinct. Her feel now. Nandigram was instinct. It was no consultant. It was no senior party leader. This was Mamata Banerjee's instinct telling her that she had to fight. And that's the captain who said, listen, I will go and fight this. I trust her political instincts. I trust her political instincts. This will be a big win. I'm not talking about numbers, okay? But she'll win comfortably. Number two, Bengal will form. She will form a government in Bengal. The left and the Congress will also pick up some seats. My sense is that they will get 10 seats. And since I love making predictions, because even predictions are free, so even if I make a prediction which is wrong, you won't mind, and I've got nothing personal against the person. But the union minister standing as an MLA who's got demoted because I think his party wanted to do whatever, he will not win his seat in Tollygunge. This is my prediction.
Okay, we'll compare notes on the 2nd of May, and before that we'll see you in Bengal on the ground. Derek O'Brien, it's been fun talking, always combative, always controversial. That's the Bengal election, and that's Indian politics, and that's the fun of it. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Nice. Enjoyed that.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.